The Law of One, Session 19. So this session is about the transitioning process from the second to the third density, and that's basically all they really speak about. Let's get in it. Okay, the questioner. I've been thinking over the scope of this book and will read this that I have thought. We are concerned in this communication with the evolution of mind, body, and spirit. I would like to fully investigate through questioning the mechanisms of evolution in order to allow these interested individuals to participate in their own evolution. It seems to me that a good place to start would be the transition from second to third density, then to investigate in detail the evolution of third density entities on Earth, paying particular attention to the mechanisms which help or hinder that evolution. This is my intent for direction of this working session. I hope that this is a correct direction. And then they go on to their question. What I would like to know first is, do all entities make a transition from second to third density, or are there some other entities who have never gone through this transition? And then Ra. Your question assumes a space-time understanding of the intelligent energy that animates your reality. In this context, we can say that not all entities move from one density to another, as the continuum is finite. From our understanding of the universe as one infinite being, its heart beating with intelligent energy, it is simply one beat of this intelligence heart from one creation to the next. In this broader context, each conscious entity has, is, and will experience every density. The questioner. Let's take the point at which an individualized entity of second density is ready to transition to third. Is this second density being what we would call an animal? Ra, there are three types of second density entities that become inspirited, inverted commas. Animals, this is the most common. Vegetables, especially trees, which can give and receive enough love to become individualized. And minerals. Occasionally, a specific place becomes energized to individuality through its relationship with the third density entity, though this is the least common transition. Questioner. When this transition from second to third density takes place, how does the entity, whether it be an animal, a tree, or mineral, become inspirited? Ra, entities do not become inspirited. Instead, they become aware of the intelligent energy within every part of their being. This awareness reveals what is already present. All densities originate from the infinite. Self-awareness arises from within, catalyzed by certain experiences and the understanding of the upward spiraling of consciousness. This creates an inevitable pull toward the eventual realization of self. Questioner. Then after the transition into the third density, am I correct in assuming that these entities would then be in, we'll take Earth as an example. Would the entities then look like us? Would they be in human form? Is this correct? Ra, this is correct. Questioner. When the first second density entities became third on this planet, was this with the help of the transfer of beings from Mars, or were there second density entities that evolved into third density with no outside influence? And then Ra, some second density entities, it's a real tongue twister, advanced to third density independently through efficient use of their experiences. Others were aided into third density by harvesting efforts, similar to how the Confederation aids now. This aid was telepathic, not vocal or written, due to the nature of second density beings. Questioner. Who sent the aid to the second density beings? Ra, we call ourselves the Confederation of Planets in the service of the infinite creator. This is a simplification in order to ease the difficulty of understanding among your people. We hesitate to use the word understanding, but it is the closest to our meaning. Questioner. Then the Confederation also aided a second density to third density transition. Is this correct? Ra, we need to clarify this question. Part of the Confederation focuses on aiding second density harvests rather than working with third density. The Confederation includes beings from various densities, your own planet, and the inner or angelic realms. Any entity that develops a mind-body-spirit complex, a body, forms a social memory complex and dedicates itself to serving the one creator can join the Confederation. So you must go through the whole process of having a physical vehicle, and then from your physical vehicle you need to move into a social memory complex, and then once you've done that you can basically be a part of the Confederation. The questioner, well, did the second density to third density transition take place then 75,000 years ago, approximately? Right, this is correct. Questioner, where did the second density beings get physical vehicles or third density type to incarnate into? Great question. And then Ra, when certain forms on the second density plane were exposed to third density vibrations, they evolved into what we call humans. This evolution included losing body hair, wearing clothes for protection, changes to the jaw, neck, and forehead to facilitate easier speech, and the development of larger skulls to meet third density needs. This was a natural transformation. Then the questioner, over approximately how long a period of time was this transfiguration? It must have been very short. Ra, your assumption is correct, at least from our perspective. Within about 1.5 generations, as you understand it, those who were harvested from this planet were able to use the newly created physical bodies made of chemical elements suitable for third density lessons. And then the questioner, can you tell me how this new bodily complex was suited to third density lessons and what those lessons were? Ra, in third density, self-awareness or self-consciousness is necessary. This requires a chemical body capable of abstract thought, combining rationale and intuitive thinking. In second density, beings relied mostly on intuition, which worked through practice. The second density mind can think abstractly and in ways not directly related to survival, which is essential. Other important factors include having a weaker physical body to promote mind usage, developing awareness of the social complex, and improving physical dexterity, especially in the hands. Very interesting, to think of what helps us evolve, consciously, is to have a weaker body so that we need others, because if we were strong enough, we wouldn't need to ask for help. We wouldn't need to create relationships and learn through those relationships. Anyway, the questioner, this seems to be a carefully planned or engineered stage of development. Can you tell me anything of the origin of this plan for the development? Ra, with the primal distortion of free will, each galaxy developed its own logos, which has complete freedom to determine how intelligent energy flows to facilitate the lessons of each density based on the conditions of the planet and sun bodies in that galaxy. And then the questioner, I'll make a statement with respect to my understanding and then ask if I am correct. There is what I would call a physical catalyst operating at all times upon the entities in third density. I assume this operated approximately the same way in second density. It's a catalyst that acts through what we call pain and emotion. Is the primary reason for weakening of the physical body and the elimination of bodily hair, etc., so that this catalyst would act more strongly upon the mind and therefore create the evolutionary process? Ra, the tree is self-sufficient, but a third density entity struggles to be so. This difficulty is due to the rational intuitive mind, which is both a strength and a weakness. The physical body was designed to be weaker, encouraging interaction among people. This interaction helps individuals learn about love more effectively. Sharing experiences with others is a powerful catalyst for learning, much more so than solitary reflection. Interacting with others acts like a mirror, helping individuals see themselves more clearly. This is a key reason for the physical body's limitations. It really is easier to be alone. When I think about all my time spent alone in Korea, especially when I went through my first awakening, I'd hermited for 3.5 years. I mean, I still had to go to work, but I was not social. It was on special occasions that I would see friends. And there were good reasons for that, with regard to me kind of diving deeper into myself and getting to know what lies beyond the ego self and all of that stuff. It was good to not have external influences. It was necessary even. But coming back home and connecting with people more frequently, I can tell you there are things that I never got the opportunity to resolve on my own that are coming up now. And I also knew that coming home, I would be faced with inner child stuff, even though I didn't know what it would look like. I'd also decided that I wanted to start dating again, with the intention of resolving relational wounds, because I knew that that couldn't be resolved on my own either. And from when I landed, a couple months in, both the wheels of those two things, got turning, and now I'm on the other side of a dark night, because the intention to resolve the inner child stuff and the relational wounds were both things in the last 2 years that I've basically spent my time navigating, purging, healing, resolving, integrating, accepting, loving, etc., etc., etc. So it feels awful. And in all honesty, I think many of us would rather just be in a cabin in the woods. There's a part of me that still deeply desires that. But I think we also know, if we're listening to this type of work, the value of exposing ourselves to relationship of any kind and how much growth comes out of that. Okay, continuing on, the questioner. Then we have second density beings who have primarily motivation towards service to self and possibly a little bit of service to others with respect to their immediate families, going into third density and carrying this bias with them, but being in a position now where this bias will slowly be modified to one that is aimed toward a social complex and then ultimately toward union with them all. Am I correct? Ra, you are correct. The questioner. Then the newest third density beings who've just made the transition from second are still strongly biased towards self-service. There must be many other mechanisms to create an awareness of the possibility of service to others. I'm wondering first two things. I'm wondering about the mechanism, and I am wondering when the split takes place, where the entity is able to continue on the road towards service to self that will eventually take him to fourth or fifth density. I would assume that an entity can start, say, in second density with service totally to self and continue right on through and just stay on what we would call the path of service to self and never ever be pulled over. Is this correct? Ra, in second density, entities serve themselves by serving their tribe or pack, seeing no separation between self and others. If the tribe or the pack become injured, so does the individual. This changes in third density when new entities initially view family and society as extensions of themselves, lacking polarity. The shift occurs when they begin to see others as separate and choose to manipulate them for personal gain. this marks the start of a path distinct from the unity of second density. I think the word manipulate always sounds so harsh and devious, but I think there are other ways to look at manipulation of others for personal gain. Is in moments of fear or moments of like maybe desiring something that you don't currently have that feels necessary for your safety, whether it's mental, emotional, physical safety. And so you might be really nice to somebody because you desire something that they have. And if you are too direct, you might not get that thing, which may seem perfectly normal in society for people to be nice, or even like, this is a great example. In what is this thing called? When we help others, charity work. What are you gaining from that illusion of helping others, from the posing of I'm helping others? I mean, are you genuinely doing it just to help others, or are you doing it because you gain the approval of the people around you, the celebration of the people around you? The kind of uplifting, your ego was boosted in that way because you have an injury, in the past around something that now you are kind of filling with this work. So I think manipulation doesn't always have to be so direct and obvious. And that I think a lot of the time people manipulate and don't even realize they're doing that. So I just thought I'd take a moment to highlight that it might not be as devious as the word makes it sound. Questioner. Does an entity consciously choose their path at the initial splitting point sometime in the third density? Ra, we speak in generalities. Why does that sound so weird? Generalities. Which is dangerous because it is always inaccurate. However, we realize you look for the overview, so we will eliminate anomalies and speak of majorities. The majority of third density beings is far along the chosen path before realization of that path is conscious. The questioner. Can you tell me what bias creates their momentum toward the chosen path of service to self? Ra, we speak only in metaphor. Some love the light, some love the darkness. It is a matter of the unique and infinitely various creator choosing and playing among its experiences like a child on a picnic. Some enjoy the picnic and find the sun beautiful, the food delicious, the games refreshing, and glow with the joy of creation. Some find the night delicious, their picnic being pain, difficulty, sufferings of others, and the examination of the perversities of nature. These enjoy a different picnic. All these experiences are available. It is free will of each entity which chooses the form of play or the form of pleasure. The questioner. I assume that an entity on either path can decide to choose paths at any time and possibly retrace steps. The path changing being more difficult the farther along one has gone. Is this correct? Ra, this is incorrect. The further an entity has polarized, the more easily this entity may change polarity, for the more power and awareness the entity will have. Those truly helpless are those who have not consciously chosen, but who repeat patterns without knowledge of the repetition or the meaning of the pattern. Oy, that is a painful sentence. Those truly helpless are those who have not consciously chosen, and those who repeat patterns and don't understand why they're repeating. I think we all have patterns we're repeating, even if we've consciously chosen to be on a path to serve others. There are still things that we're trying to shake. But I mean, the word truly helpless. Continuing on, the questioner. I believe we have a very, very important point here. It then seems that there is an extreme potential in this polarization, the same as there is in, to make an analogy, using electricity. We have a positive and negative pole. The more you build a charge on either of these, the greater the potential difference and the greater the ability to do work, as we call it in the physical. This would seem to me to be the exact analogy that we have in consciousness here. Is this correct? Ra, this is precisely correct. Questioner, well, this would seem then that there's a relationship then between what we perceive as physical phenomena, say the electrical phenomena, and the phenomena of consciousness, and what they have stemmed from the one creator are practically identical but have slightly different actions as we inaudible. Is this correct? Ra, again, we oversimplify to answer your query. The physical body is composed of numerous electromagnetic fields interacting through intelligent energy. Mental and emotional states add more energy fields, further distorting the physical body's energy patterns. The spiritual aspect, inherently perfect, can be perceived in various distorted ways by the mind and body. Rather than having one simple magnetic polarity, the body-mind-spirit complex has a fundamental polarity represented by violet ray energy, which is the sum of all energy fields. This polarity is influenced by thoughts from the mind, physical distortions, and the numerous interactions between the individual, the microcosm, and the larger universe, the macrocosm, such as the energy rays from stars that affect the entity's electromagnetic web based on its unique distortions. Interesting. The questioner, is this then the root of what we call astrology? Ra, this will be the last full question of the session. Astrology, as discussed, is a method for understanding primal distortions that can be predicted based on cosmic orientations and configurations at the time of the spirit's entry into the physical mental complex and its journey through the physical mental spiritual complex. Astrology can suggest fundamental areas of distortion, but does not offer more than that. Its role is comparable to one root among many in understanding these distortions. A tool, right? Okay, well, that brings us to the end of session 19. My tongue is a little bit thick because I just drank hot tea, and so I'm finding it very difficult to to speak clearly. Also, it's nighttime, so I'm not as enthusiastic in my commentary. I hope you guys enjoyed this one and that you gained something useful from this for your personal lives. And I will see you on session 19. Have a really beautiful one. Much love.